Hi there, everyone. Welcome and thanks for joining us for another informative weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. As always, we have a lot in store, focusing on health, food security, national development, and more. So please, stick around.
Residents of St. James, let's continue the conversation on building Jamaica. Join Prime Minister Andrew Holness for a town hall on housing and land on Thursday, August 31, starting at 6 p.m. at Harmony Beach Park, Montego Bay. Join us on location or watch and share your questions and thoughts on the JIS and OPM social media platforms. Come for the discussion on housing and land. Building Jamaica. We want to hear from you.
There's a risk of just about any one of us suffering a sudden cardiac arrest where the heart stops beating. The worst can be averted if each of us know how to apply the life-saving technique of cardiovascular resuscitation, which you perhaps know as CPR. Learn more in this next feature.
Oscar!
Though this is a dramatization, it has happened quite often. In the field, at home, or at work, a loved one collapses and is unresponsive. What follows? Usually chaos, confusion, heartache, instead of immediately providing that critical resuscitation technique which may prevent death.
CPR stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It is a skill that is an emergency skill that is used to revive someone whose heart has stopped beating. Cardiac arrest can happen to anyone at any time. In the event that happens, you need to know the skills that you need to perform to revive these persons or give these persons a chance of survival.
We never know when we'll be in a situation where we need to help someone else. It's really just a little bit of your time, and I think it would be a worthwhile investment in learning these skills so we can render assistance.
Even when someone is choking, the techniques learned in CPR may be applied to save that person from asphyxiation. To release the person's airway, position yourself behind them and clasp your fist at the navel and roll in an upward motion. When someone is unresponsive, that's a whole other ballgame. The person may become unresponsive for several reasons. For instance, they could have a medical condition. To really know if someone is unresponsive and in need of CPR,
Tap the person's shoulder and shout, "Sir, sir, sir," or "Ma'am, are you okay?" Once the person is not responding to you, and they can respond in several forms. They can answer by moaning, they can groan, they can open their eyes, they can move a limb. If the person is not responding to you, now you need to scan the chest and look if you see breathing. Once the person is not breathing, their terms as being unresponsive. So once you have somebody collapsing, the first thing you need to do is check your environment, ensure that your environment is safe for you. Once the environment is safe, now you need to assess the person who has collapsed. Once someone is unresponsive, has no signs of life, call for help and bare the person's chest. So you remove their upper garment. Find your hand position. It's on the lower half, center of the chest, lower half of the breastbone, and you push in 30 times at the Bee Gees song, that's Staying Alive. Ha, 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 staying alive. If you are trained, after 30 compressions, you can give 2 breaths. If you are not trained, you don't know about CPR, you give hands-only CPR. So hands-only CPR is where you compresses the chest. You need to continue that on the way to the hospital, so you're maintaining cells' life.
it's possible for anyone and everyone to learn CPR.
Nannies, construction workers, teachers, lawyers, doctors, everyone should learn CPR. Once you're able-bodied, you can learn CPR.
In terms of age, it's said as young as 12 years old can learn the art to save a life.
So many times, children get in situations that they need assistance. In fact, a cousin of mine, her son got into some distress. She realized that he wasn't breathing one day, and she was able to help him by giving him CPR. So I think that was really important that she had those skills so that she could assist her son, because who knows what would have happened if she wasn't able to give him that immediate assistance.
This course, I've done it before, and I find it very interesting because I work a lot with children And one time I have to do a CPR on a little boy because there was leave under my care and mother wasn't around and he was eating some plum and playing on like plum seed, stabbing his throat, and I just hear him coughing, but it never very severe because he was coughing. So when he was coughing, I hold him up and I, try to do a little, I understand the CPR, tell him to cough. And he cough and cough until it actually come up.
I had a patient once, and while I was there in the bathroom with that person, the person just fell unconscious, and I was there, didn't know exactly what to do, but I was there saying, "Sir, are you okay? Are you okay?" And I didn't know much, what to do, but I decided to put the person on the side, and I was there trying to stop the person. Then I was saying to myself, if I had known CPR well enough, I could perform it.
The Heart Foundation of Jamaica is one of the several local organizations that offer training in CPR.
The Heart Foundation of Jamaica is an authorized training center for the American Heart Association. We offer CPR training for medical and non-medical persons. We have our scheduled in-house training, and organization can call us to schedule classes at their convenience.
Having access to sufficient, safe and nutritious foods to meet our dietary need is important for sustaining health and economic wealth. In our next feature, we look at climate change as a security threat and a partnership engaging youth in agriculture to build resilience.
Having a career is advised, but like everything else, it has its own set of challenges. One of these is creating equal opportunities for both sexes to feel secure, heard, and strengthened to perform their obligations. Another is ensuring our actions are not contributing to climate change and endangering the environment. This is why the Jamaica 4-H Foundation, supported by the Jamaica 4-H Clubs, the youth training arm of the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, has partnered with the UNDP to implement the Enabling Gender Responsive Disaster Recovery, Climate and Environmental Resilience Project. Currently, there are 71,269 persons with membership in the 4-H clubs, with 2,311 volunteers. The Engender Project assisted young farmers and fisherfolk between the ages of 18 to 35 through training and certification, enterprise development support, and increased awareness about climate change, all aimed at strengthening their adaptive capacity in becoming more resilient. Training exposures include climate-smart and sustainable agricultural and fisheries practices, value addition and agri-processing, environmental awareness, and leadership. Climate change has the potential to degrade food quality, reduce availability, and disrupt access.
Climate change is real, and we cannot affect climate change. So what we want to do is to get people to adopt to strategies that will make them, be able to survive in this changing climate. So our job really is to bring about awareness of some of the impacts and some of basically the strategies that they could employ to basically adapt and mitigate this effect of climate change.
Let us dig into the soil of relief that the Engender Project has provided to combat climate change while improving the incomes of young farmers and fishermen. The program ran for 9 months with a series of activities. The goal? Climate Smart Business Management and Financial Literacy Training was done for participants in communities in Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, and St. Thomas.
Implementing the program in these areas, it will in fact address the big issues that its projects seek to address. And one of them is how do we develop resilience in our youth farmers, and how do we help them to create sustainable livelihoods.
To develop a stable foundation for the project, the Jamaica Forage Foundation and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, planted 3 important components to ensure trainees reap the right benefits.
891 young farmers and fisherfolk in the 5 parishes, including women, were part of the Climate Smart Agriculture Program.
It is bringing the opportunities that is provided by the ocean. It is bringing farming together, and the key actors are youth and women.
The aquaponics system is climate resilient, and we all know that climate change, global warming is taking place. And being that water cycle filters, you don't need additional water every day to keep the crops growing and growing healthy. What I've learned new that I've applied to the aquaponics is that I can now store the water from the fish whenever I'm going to clean the tank, and I can use it as a fertilizer base for other crops that I'll be growing.
The benefit of the Engender project is all about reinforcing the importance of consistency.
The crafting of this project is absolutely timely, and we are very, very grateful to the Global Affairs Canada as well as the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office of the United Kingdom, because they have actually provided resources. And so the UNDP, the United Development Program, and the Jamaica Forage Clubs Foundation, we have worked together to implement this very, very uniquely crafted project.
Through the funding of the Global Affairs Canada and the UK, we were asked to work on this project in 9 countries in this region. And it's pretty much to look at how we can find a way of mitigating and adapting to the impact of climate change through a gender lens.
Equal opportunities in the agriculture and fisheries sector allow more persons to participate in economic growth, strengthens resilience against climate change, and helps pull vulnerable groups out of poverty.
The project in its design had a gender equal formula, and so special emphasis was placed on providing female youth with the opportunity to gain access to resources which they normally would have had a challenge accessing.
Youths in agriculture, the interest is somewhat low, and to have them involved in this kind of production system help them to see a way out.
The future for sustainable Jamaica is climate smart.
Yes, walk right over there and drop it in the bin. Reuse that wastewater from your kitchen for the garden. Get your hands dirty and plant a tree. Farmers, hold off on the pesticides, especially near our rivers. Do your part to protect our watersheds so we can preserve the source of our drinking water. Every act to protect our watersheds counts. Start now.
Still on the topic of food, we all know that much of the foods produced in the country are from rural farms. If you are a cost-conscious consumer looking to save, but you live in an urban space, keep watching to see how you can grow some of what you eat, even in your little home space.
Urban gardening is the cultivation of vegetables, fruits, aromatic plants, and herbs in an enclosed space or your backyard. It's an ideal way for those with little space to participate in the process of food production, saving money while feeding themselves. Practical application is one of the best methods of imparting new knowledge. The Jamaica 4-H Clubs ran with that concept when it set up an urban garden display project at 123 Duke Street in downtown Kingston.
This project was born out of the COVID pandemic, where we recognize that food production has to become everybody's business. Traditionally, most of our food in Jamaica is cultivated in rural areas. We believe that even if you are in a dormitory community without land space, we believe that there's still an opportunity for you to produce. In this urban model, you would realize that we are demonstrating how you can do air planting, how you can do planting on your fence line, how you can produce food in different medium. And so we are utilizing a fully integrated approach from collecting your own water, by generating your own nutrient within the urban garden model setting to be able to produce the food that you will eat.
There are a few vital things that plants need to grow. These include sunlight, proper temperature, moisture, air, and nutrients.
One of the basic pieces of technology inside our urban model garden is to demonstrate rainwater harvesting. From your roof, you're collecting your water, not only your roof, but just anywhere there's a runoff, because it could be a runoff underground. And what you want to do is to be able to have some storage capacity.
In the 4-H urban garden, the water is stored underground to ensure there is more available space on the surface. Of course, your environment will determine the most effective setup for your system.
One of the good things about Jamaica, other than when we have night, we always have sunlight. There are some plants that requires a lot more lighting than others. And so one of the things we demonstrate or we share with urban gardeners is where you put what. So there are some plants that you can do indoors. There are some plants that will strive and do better if they were to be grown outdoor. Whether you're using container, you're using your fencing, you're using backyard, front yard, or your rooftop. Another feature that is demonstrated here is composting. To my right is our composting area, and we have a roto-composting bin, as well as we have a regular bin. And in fact, just about all the vegetative matter and the waste from the birds and the animals across there are in fact all placed into our composters, and that is broken down to provide organic matter. Because again, your soil needs that for aeration, it needs it to add humus, and that's what is going to allow your plants to grow well.
And all this can be done in your own space. Livestock is another avenue you can choose in your urban gardening. Rabbit rearing is an excellent source of protein, and it doesn't require much space. You can also use the plants in the garden to feed them. Other animals can be included, such as chicken and fish.
We do a lot of different birds here. You can do your ornamental fish, you can do your tilapia, and you can also do your domestic hens. Because that's something we are also promoting, is to get back to those domestic hens for eggs and meat. There are many things you can do in terms of livestock. It's almost as diverse as you're going for crops.
To replicate this model in your urban space, speak with your Jamaica 4-H Club's parish officer. You can receive seeds and other planting material to get you started.
One of the biggest threats right now in the world is not war or COVID, is really to have a sustainable supply of food. And the view is that no longer can we only rely on the traditional food producer. I think food production has to become everybody's business. And I think the extent to which we are able to get all our people to produce some of what you will consume, I think is one of the greatest steps we can take in looking at the phenomenon of food sustainability.
A strategy the Jamaica 4-H Society has started to aid in maintaining sustainable food within communities. And if you haven't begun the process in your space yet, you can start now.
On our roads, remember, take time, be courteous, drive good, walk good. Part of keeping our roads safe is ensuring the vehicles we drive are mechanically safe, meeting all roadworthy requirements. And besides that, we must be good drivers and avoid risk-taking and sensation-seeking behaviors which are prone to causing road crashes.
We're near the end of our journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine, but before we get there, we leave you with some tips for parents and tutors to spur children's interest and understanding of math in the upcoming school term.
What is it, my daughter? All right. Let me take a look at it now.
Math can seem daunting, but there are a few things you can do to support your child at home. One area to look at is games. We all play games on a regular basis, especially children. And how much fun would it be to tie mathematics into the games they play?
There's a very interesting notion that is put forward, and that notion is the fact that the things that we are interested in are the same things that we seem to do well in. Now, if it is that around our interest there's also a heightened level of performance, or we seem to learn things much faster when we are in tune, it therefore becomes important for us to actually put emphasis on making mathematics an interest. Because once we begin to allow our students or our children to see the fun in math and begin to develop a level of interest, it is at that point in time you will find that they may learn the concepts much faster.
Arithmetic helps us in keeping track of time, conducting business, and making plans.
In reinforcing the math from home, we have to do a few things. One, you could, while cooking or baking, allow your child to come forward and to share the math concepts that they were exposed to in school. I'm sure while you're cooking something, your child can apply some measurement skills, some conversions, some looking at the beakers and so on. Additionally, we know that at times we do some amount of sorting and organizing. There's always a shelf somewhere to be packed, a cabinet to be reorganized, some things to be moved around. This is an opportunity to allow your child to use their spatial awareness, to be able to look at shapes.
Do you want to know what I do?
I find creative ways to incorporate the knowledge to them, because maths is not an easy subject, and most children will tell you maths hard, but it's something that they need in their everyday life. So I find creative ways to put it to them in fun ways that we both can enjoy doing it together.
Some of the concepts that I believe that parents could pay a keen attention to is the number concept, like the simple addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division.
You have to know at least the basics. I mean, we're not going to tell them about the algebras and the other areas which is a little bit challenging to them, but at least know to make change, know how to know the difference between distance and time and things like those. I'll try to encourage all fathers at least to know the basic about the concept of maths. For the primary student, you use whatever they like. If they like food, they use food. Divide up the pizza, show them how to divide it. If they like money, they're the children who love playing with money and love counting money, use the money.
Look at your child textbook. You'd see the topics based on the child age group, all the topics that they'll go through throughout the entire year. And you can also consult with the teacher and find out what topic am I looking at now, so that you can use all the online resources.
We have to find out what is the root of the problem first. Is it that you're not understanding, or you're not grasping as much as you're being taught? Then that much we need to identify what are the weak areas, what are the problems. And once we can identify what is the problem, then we can actually try and fix it from there.
So we're not supposed to be thinking with our fixed mindset that there's only one way, so the teacher is doing it wrong. We could be doing it wrong, we might never know. So we'll have to be open to the fact that we're not the only person with an opinion, or this is not the only way of solving that one problem.
Parents, I want to encourage you today. When it is that your child comes home with the math book and you realize that the approach that is being taken to deliver the content is not the same way you are used to it, don't throw it aside and say, no, that's wrong, or that is harder, that's different. You need to embrace the approach.
There is many ways to help. You don't have to help physically, but being there to sit down and to encourage the child, talk with them, or even while they're doing it, you look over and say, yes man, okay, try it this way. I mean, that is support.
Support your child and give them the push they need. In math, practice makes perfect.
And this is where we leave you for Jamaica Magazine today. Be here on this station tomorrow for more you don't want to miss. Until then, there are lots to watch over on our website, jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.